Hello, and welcome to the M3 Bearcast. My name is Malcolm Travers. In this episode, I speak with Gregory Drayton, also known as the talented Mr. Drayton, who is my co-host on the M3 Live broadcasts each Wednesday and Sunday on the M3 YouTube channel. In this episode, we're discussing how we form our self-identity and how gay men carry on the legacy of the patriarchy because of childhood wounds. Topics such as these are going to be brought up on the M3 Live broadcasts often. In fact, these two in particular, I'm going to bring up on Wednesday. But I want to give Greg an extended chance to discuss these. I've actually been doing a few solo podcasts because it's been difficult to get people on the phone. And Greg joined me on the phone. We tackled a couple of these topics. And so I hope that you will join us on the M3 Live broadcast and support us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/malemediamind. And you can support us on a monthly basis and receive early access to this podcast. And we sometimes are able to do after shows of the M3 Live broadcasts that are for patrons only. So without further ado, let me get to my conversation with Greg.
You look at this picture, you see a woman standing in front of 3 mirrors with each mirror having a different reflection. You see, in the world of psychology, this is called the looking glass self. It's a term coined by psychologist Charles Cooley way back in 1902. But let's talk about what it is. Well, according to Charles Cooley, who believed that we got our sense of self not only from our own personal qualities, but rather the perceptions about how we believe other people may see us. Cooley believed that this happened in 3 stages. First, how do you appear to other people? Second, we imagine what other people must think about us based off of that observation. So, for example, does a person come off as being rude or nice, etc.? And then third, we develop feelings about ourselves based off what we think other people may perceive. But the most important thing to note was that Cooley believed that we weren't actually influenced by other people's opinions, but rather what we imagine other people's opinions to be. As a result, we could develop our self-identity on both true and untrue perceptions.
Your sense of identity is based off of the reflections that you have off of other people. It's not really based on what they are actually thinking, but what you think they're thinking. And it comes from early childhood. Like babies who are raised in orphanages or whatever and are deprived of human contact have a diminished sense of self. Like they don't even understand themselves in a sense because they didn't have enough human interaction. Right. And I think later on in my research, they talked about, say, prison reform and recidivism and how no matter what sort of programs you put someone through in prison and try to help them get back on their feet when you're released from prison, they're often returned back to the same people that shaped their identity. And basically, if you don't break out of the patterns that got you in prison in the first place, you're basically doomed to reoffend, you know?
I truly don't give a fuck about what people think about. I talk to my therapist about it, but even subconsciously, I want to be normal. So of course I care about what people think about me. But no.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's not even really about whether or not you care what people think about you. We're talking about your self-identity. So say, for instance, do you consider yourself to be tall?
No, because I'm not.
But what I'm saying is if you were around a bunch of people who were short, you might consider yourself tall. Because that's how we judge ourselves based on
what
if
I'm the tallest one. But it would be a fact if I'm the tallest one in the room. That's more like a fact and not a opinion or a personal thought.
But the thing is, no matter whether you're the tallest person in the room or the shortest person in the room, you're still the same height. And so that is the point, is what you think about yourself is a reflection of the people around you. Whether or not you care what they think about you, you look on them and make certain judgments about what they think, whether you care or not. That's the point I'm getting. And so if you want to be a quality person in a sense, you need to be around quality people in a sense. Or people who affirm certain aspects that you think about yourself, right? So whether or not you care if someone thinks a certain thing, if you're around people who see you a certain way, you start to see yourself that way. Or at least if you believe other people see yourself that way.
I'm thinking about it from the aspect of if you would have asked Adam Leslie the time of Mr. Drayton. So the complexity of this would be having a physical disability. I've had to say to myself early on, they don't get what's in this goodie bag or nothing else. Because I don't have anything else to offer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So all of those things quickly went out the window for me. All of those things were kind of peripheral. You know what I mean? Like and we should keep it real. So thank God I'm a little bit attractive, a little bit of light skin, a little bit masculine. It all kind of worked together as a conversion to fuckery.
Yeah.
And so it was more like, okay, well, your physical disability is secondary because you are at the pinnacle of the world, attractive and smart. Thank God the world saw me like I saw myself. Now, to go back to discussion at hand, you are somewhat affected by your outside influence. And I want your opinion, like, at this moment, like, is it the same argument as nature or nurture?
Yeah. I think it's both. And that's the funny thing is, there have been studies about like infant growth and maturity, right? So, breastfeeding babies has often been thought to be more nutritious than formula. But what they're discovering is that most of the benefit of breastfeeding is just literally having a tit in your mouth and being up on your mother, because the physical interaction helps develop you as a person, right? Like even if you were to export breast milk and you put it in a bottle, you don't get the same benefits as actually breastfeeding, because it's actually the physical touch that makes the difference. So like it's just interesting to say that who we are from the very beginning is determined by other people. Like we're in a sense social beings, right? Like by definition, if we are deprived of social interaction, we're stunted as people. And I thought about what you were saying with how when you don't care about what other people think, it is a good way to live, but also it is a common coping mechanism for people who have, and this is in no way a reflection of what you were saying, but it's a common, because I'm not talking about you, but it's actually a common coping mechanism for people who have low self-esteem, is to not care what other people think. They will openly be like, I don't give a fuck what anyone else thinks. But at the same time, your self-esteem, your self-worth is based on what you think other people think about you. Like you kind of cut it off consciously, but on the subconscious level, you're like, this is who I am. And you're not necessarily thinking where that image of yourself came from,
Oh, in my rearing, my survival depended upon my self-esteem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I literally tried to live in, I think most teens and preteens and, all those hormones and shit. So you live in your head. I tried that. I honestly did. And, I had parents that say, get the fuck out of your head and get engaged.
Yeah.
You're just as good as anybody else or better. I had my mother tell her 5-year-old as I was on my way to kindergarten. I repeat this story quite often. my first day of kindergarten, my mother held, my sister was in third grade, I was in kindergarten. My mother kept me in the car and let my sister go on in our green Fleetwood with a tire on the back, 1978 Fleetwood with a tire on the back and white walls. I lived in the street, with muddy house blessings, leather seat. I mean, the leather was hot because it was warm.
Mm.
And she said to me, she was like, listen, you're not going to look like everybody. You're not going to talk like everybody else. And people, like children that don't know you, may be cruel to you. But within good reason, you tell them your mother told you to kiss your ass and you can do whatever you want. And I have just been living in that. Even when I am in my life, I've hit a wall and I said, okay, I have reached the end of the tenure, whatever I'm doing. I think about that, and God bless her. I think one of the empowering statements to give a child, what a very, very empowering statement to give somebody who is a 5-year-old on their way to kindergarten, so it empowered me through the plurality of my life. So, even when I've had to give major speeches and I've had to do training classes, I still get nervous. Isn't that funny? Like, I still get nervous and I still feel less than sometimes, but I think about that 5-year-old kid with that big giant ass afro and that mint green Fleetwood with the tire on the back and the white walls and smell like muddy house blessings on that hot leather. I think about that kid on that hot August, Virginia Monday, on his way to kindergarten and to embark on the rest of his life. And, I think about that to this day because 2023 marks my 50th anniversary. It's the year I turned 50. And also, real quick, that having been born with cerebral palsy, all of my life, somebody telling me, you're gonna die when you're 12. Or you're gonna die when you're 16. You're not gonna be able to do this. You're not gonna be able to draw right. You're not gonna do this. I have done all of those things I've done. I'm having an exceptional and a healthy life.
Yeah.
It's amazing. All those people that have said those things to me are things that perished.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. So I subscribe to what they were saying for most people, but you happen to share the platform today with a person who actually, I had it was either sink or swim. I think that's I guess that's the crux where I'm gonna sink or swim, survive on there. Yeah. It was just really, and that. And full disclosure, we've been playing for decades, but as you are a person with a disability who is attractive and masculine, and we're talking about being in a community, you also, sir, are a unicorn in the community.
Yeah.
Because, I guess we can make this a topic.
Yeah. No, I think I'm actually going to transition to one, but keep going.
Okay. Okay. But, being attractive and smart with a disability is a unicorn. I mean, because sometimes I often find myself having to announce myself as a unicorn.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm not them. Or, my CP ain't that bad. You know what I mean? Or, some people on a wheelchair, but not me.
Right.
Let's go to the club. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Or, I'm like, I would tell somebody, just in passing, oh God, I forget not to text Malcolm. And somebody will say, well, why can't you text Malcolm? Y'all beefing? No, My friend is legally blind, so he needs a phone call and will prefer a phone call. Now, he can respond to a text, and he often does, and it's amazing. Those who are listening, it's amazing. It spells correctly. There's grammar. That's proper. It's amazing. So, we take for granted those small things in life, like that you can pick up your phone, you know where it is, you know where the buttons are, you can text. And it's amazing that I'm able to walk out my bedroom door, walk down the steps, and walk out of the front door. Now, it may not have felt as good as what did the day before, but it's getting done. You know what I mean? And so I think we take for granted the exceptional life that we're living. And just make Malcolm, you're an exceptional person.
Yeah.
You're a non-vision person in a visual medium. And you have to recognize things that, the visual trends of what are people watching.
Yeah.
Sometimes I know it's extremely difficult, but I marvel at the work that you do. Hats off.
Yeah.
But absolutely.
I think that it is one of those issues where, if I have to say, I feel like a lot of gay men are just insecure about.
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, their identity has been formed by a homophobic childhood where they were secretive about their sexuality. They may have not had.
You think that's just our generation? Are you in my generation? You're not in my generation.
I'm 8 years older than you. So I don't know.
People in their 40s, let's just say generation 12. So I don't think the kids after us have that same notion.
Right.
Because they come out with sparkles and glitter and unicorn.
Possibly. I think there's still a lot of homophobia for gay men who are not as masculine or who are not assured that their sexuality is appropriate. If they were raised in a very conservative household and they were made to feel that this was a sin that's going to send them to hell, or even if it wasn't outwardly pounded into their head, they at least maybe had this notion that there's something wrong with them. If the fact is that they take that little seed of wrongness all the way into their adulthood and are seeking validation through attractiveness or through sexual conquest or through social standing.
You know what? Thank you for that. Because, I'm not going to be too descriptive because I have a friend in his early 40s who is on his third facelift.
Yeah.
Why? Why? So now you look like a hobbit instead of a person.
Yeah.
You look like, what's that show, Botched?
I've seen these. I see them on TikTok and Instagram all the time.
Well, now you look like you are ready to take the time for that show, Botched. But early 40s and you're having this. What are you going to do? You're going to look like Madam from Solid Gold, but thoroughly as shit.
Yeah. But that is,
stop nature.
But that's what it is. Like we have to get to the core. I mean, all of this would require someone to do some deep work and therapy and so forth. But just to acknowledge the fact that those early wounds are carried through to adulthood. I'm going to play this video real quick.
This question about why it's so hard to date as a gay or bi or queer man, people keep coming close-ish, right? Like, it's hookup culture and open relationships. No, it's homophobia. No, it's a patriarchy. Men are having trouble dating. All kinds of men are having trouble dating because men are hard to date. Men are not socialized to be good people. I know we think we're more evolved than straight men, but we have lots of work to do. Plenty of homophobia to unlearn. You would think within a community of just men that there would no longer be a gender binary, but we have still invented so many dichotomies to help us feel either more like men, more desirable to other men, or to other people who do not fit within those boundaries. Older bear daddy top, younger boy twink bottom. We have literally recreated a society that we tried to escape because it was harmful to us. Now, surprise, surprise, you're looking for someone who wants to commit to you and is emotionally available, And you can't find them because being empathetic and emotionally intelligent and committing to people are not tenets of being a man in our society. Like, I'm not coming for open relationships. I'm coming for open relationships that are open, but not relationships. I'm in no way trying to discard or ignore any of the trauma that comes with being a queer man in our society or the responses to that trauma. But I am saying that we as men must take accountability for ourselves and realize that the ways that we learn to operate under the patriarchy are things we have to unlearn in order to better our own community. Because yes, we're being oppressed by the patriarchy, but it's called the patriarchy. Like, we're still a part of it. Now, I'm also not saying to just throw away everything you enjoy about being a queer man right now because it'll make you more enlightened or whatever. If you are a 45-year-old muscle daddy who loves your 5'1", 19-year-old boy who was definitely in his mom's ovaries when you were still in grad school, by all means, continue that relationship. But we can definitely work on ourselves to improve ourselves and improve our socializations and improve our community.
A line that stuck out to me, and I still think it was funny, is like, I'm not coming for open relationships. I'm coming for open relationships that aren't relationships. That's it. I was like, oh, God.
I mean, that's kind of where I am. I get it.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that.
We have these conversations quite often, and this is a topic that I really would like to take over to this evening. But
Yeah,
absolutely. And then, so you add the extra caveat being a man of color, because being a white queer person, you're still coming from a place of privilege.
right.
I would, in my head, like, Chasten Buttigieg is my nemesis. Like,
Okay.
why would you say that Chasten Buttigieg? Because Chasten Buttigieg, him and Peter, embody everything there is that is about white gay or queer privilege.
Yeah.
Yes, there was Stonewall, but there at Stonewall until recently, we forgot about people like Marsha P. Johnson, who was the bitch that threw the brick.
Right.
You know what I mean? But these white queer people, because of the white privilege, got to be queer and got to be queer icons, not till later and the experience that we got with Paul, we found out Marsha P. before she auspiciously was found floating in the Hudson. So we are playing. It's because, and this is, I'm going to talk about this, Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find me on Mail Media Mind. The other thing I will talk about, what I want to talk about then is like hatred within the community, but dealing with this topic right now, it's kind of hard to have an opinion because he's but he's coming from still of a place of privilege. I still say it is 100 gazillion times harder as a person of color. So you add what she's saying, which is not wrong.
Yeah.
I do agree. But you add the complexity of being a person of color, and it's a shit show.
Yeah.
It's a shit show. And then you do, and we talk about this all the time on Mail Media Mind, on some YouTube.
Right.
First thing you ask when you meet someone, and you of color, they have color. Hey, top, bottom, versatile.
Right.
I've noticed that my white counterparts, that is not the first question they ask. What do you do for fun? Like, what do you do for work? Where you from? Everything but that. I like canoeing. So, anyway, I have been doing a social media experiment during these Saturdays at 12 p.m. Everybody probably will need to mind you to hit the subscribe button, but I have been doing social media experiments on different dating apps. And we'll get into it. What my findings, and it's going to lead to months of discussions. But I noticed that talking to white men, sexism. Whatever. They're like, oh, I'm down for whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
But black men, because of the homophobia, as you were saying before, the first thing we go to is heterosexual normatives in our relationship. The
Right.
first thing. And that's the first thing your sisters and your straight friends ask, well, who the girl?
Right. Yeah, no, it's funny. I thought about that. I saw another video I was looking at, and one of the things I got from the video was like when I first started, exploring my sexuality, I just didn't know what the fuck I was doing at all, So like the first few people I was with, it wasn't like, are you a top or bottom? I was like, what the fuck is that? I say, are we just going to try some shit and see what works? Like you're going to, we're going to work that shit out. But it's like now you're expected to have a role, and not only just top, bottom, verse, but mask, femme, dominant, submissive kind of thing if you're getting into kink. Or,
don't forget about non-binary, friend.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever else they're talking about, it's kind of sad. I don't know what.
I mean, it's very sad. It's very sad. And again, it comes from a place of not being a person of non-color having privilege. Like, that is a privilege. Like, to mostly white, queer male and female enjoy the privilege of marriage.
Yeah.
Marriage is a succinctly and distinctly middle-class behavior.
Yeah, that's true.
It is It is a distinct act of privilege. It is expensive. It is outgoing. It's gaudy. Look at me. And now we have engagement videos and the hundreds of $1,000 weddings and Gucci weddings and Louis Vuitton weddings. And so you ask yourself, why? Now, I don't want a divorced person myself. Just in peace, which is good. But, I was married to a woman. So marriage was a different, I was poor. Students were dirt ass, booty ass poor.
Yeah.
But now, at this point in my life partner would be the same gender, expected to go get her away, we get shoes and candles that burn all day, which are terribly expensive. All of that shit, just to throw, and so all of those things. So privilege.
Yeah.
So white privilege brings itself around again because getting married is a privilege, and then so when you speak about, God, I forgot what the rule is, the Supreme Court ruling, when it's Bergerfeld, look at me, already. So when you think about the case of Bergerfeld, the United States Supreme Court, there were several people involved, but there was only one or two people of color.
Yeah.
And then Bergerfeld in itself was tons of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
I was gonna ask you a tangent question. I just thought about this when you talked about marriage.
Yes,
totally off point. How do you feel about the Instagram couples who are like, even if they're black? Because I saw this couple, they were just both of them fine as fuck, right? And they had their marriage pictures or whatever, and they had the whole wedding party. They're in like purple with, this.
I think that it's on Black Gay Weddings, right?
Yeah, I saw it on Instagram and TikTok. I followed some of these guys, and
I do too. Show it to you.
Yeah, I like it, but I know at the same time it drives some people crazy because they're like, this is for the gram. That's not your real life. You're just putting it out there.
How the fuck do they know?
We don't. But I'm just saying, that's what they're saying. And my thing was, so what if it is? Maybe that's what you want to do.
Like you want to build a profile and say, listen, this is what this is. But in a nutshell, yeah, all those things, it's right. It's tough because we as men, we're taught to be solemn, tough. But I think it was my sister I was telling, and she was like, well, I was about to say, you know your people, but it's unfortunately, sometimes being gay is just like being heterosexual. You date or you hunt, if you will, based on your sexual preferences. Bottoms tend to behave in a certain way, tops tend to conversely how they get me. But we date on the basis of that. But
I mean, I guess the shorthand, I guess, helps you get there faster. And I think that was the issue that I find with a lot of dating. One, like you were saying, men are not socialized to be empathetic, caring people. So often people...
But you find your good bottom shoe opening.
This is true. This is a
wonderful
topic. Yeah. All of these I'm going to do on the live stream. But
absolutely.
And that ends my conversation with Greg and episode 25 of the M3 Bearcast. Make sure to join us on the M3 live broadcast. Greg hosts one Saturday at noon. I host one Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And if you hit subscribe and hit the bell, you'll be notified when we go live. And make sure to join us on Patreon. You'll get early access to this podcast as well as after shows exclusive to patrons. Thank you again for listening to the podcast, and I'll catch you in the next episode.